Hello, my name is McCorkle, and this year I studied photography in ISM, and it was really fun, and I learned a lot from my mentor and from just everything that I researched and that I did on my own. So the quote that I have that I usually go off of is, "Life is like photography and we develop from our negatives." This quote is a lot like my life personally because, you know, you make mistakes and you develop from those mistakes, and when you had film cameras and you used those, you didn't have digital, you had to make sure that you took the perfect picture, and if you didn't, then you'd have to go back and take it again, and it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it was a very stressful thing to do. My mission statement is to enhance and broaden my knowledge by capturing the love and creativity of photography through others. Finding people through the lens and seeing how happy they are is just what I like to do. Seeing them be themselves, if they're being dumb or funny, if they're being lovey-dovey with their significant other or whatever it is, like it's just fun to see them like that, whether it be posed or just candids, whatever it is. It's just really fun to do that. ISM was kind of something that wasn't an option for me. I wanted to do it junior year, but I wanted to make sure I had a better background. So I took photojournalism junior year, and then senior year I decided to take ISM. And it really helped me because I'll have a lot of advancements that not a lot of other seniors and students will have my age. I'm going into college with background knowledge on how to run a photography business, on how to take pictures already, and having my own website and business starting to set up. In ISM we did blogs, research assessments, and interviews, and that was just like the very minimum that we did. Blogs would be what we did from the week before. We would just update everybody on how that helped us, how that brought our knowledge, broadened our knowledge, sorry. And then the research assessments is what we learned, better things that we had, and I know I learned from that is the style of photography that I wanted to study, and I was kind of jumping back and forth between portraits, weddings, or senior photography, and then I finally figured out that wedding photography is really what I wanted to stick to. It was just really intriguing to me. And then the opportunities that ISM gives you is you get to shadow a mentor, and that was an amazing opportunity for me because I got to go to weddings with my mentor and take pictures with him, and he taught me how to use Lightroom, how to use Photoshop the correct way, how to create my website, and how to create a lookbook. And then at the beginning of the year we had business symposium, and that was a really good way to get to know different business professionals in the area. They got my name out there where I met some different photographers, and I met a bunch of people who had photography friends that I didn't realize were in the area. And I also got to meet just a whole bunch of different business professionals that could possibly use photographers in their future. So my passion for photography is just to make people happy. This picture just kind of shows it, that it doesn't have to be a posed picture, it can be them just doing what they love. She's a drum major of the band here at Lone Star, and she loves music, she loves to be a leader, she's great at that, and so this is her conducting at a football game, and she just absolutely loves what she's doing. You can see it in her face, she's excited, and even if she's looking a little weird to some of you, it's what she loves to do. And it just brings everyone's personality out in the best way possible, which is what I like to do, because you can't always see that in like a journal or in a book or in a newspaper or whatever, but in photographs you can really see, oh, okay, they've got like a funny face, they're most likely a funny person. So, and then you get the opportunity to document life's most precious moments. That's a really big thing for me because I know with weddings, you don't get to keep everything from the wedding. The girl will probably keep her dress. You guys will keep the rings. The cake will be eaten, given to guests if it's not all gone. You have some presents. The guy will probably return his tux, but you won't have any memories from that night unless you have a really good memory and can remember all of it. So you just look back on your wedding portfolio and you just look at all the pictures that you had, and it just tells the story. So I had a lot of interviews. Some were a lot better than others. Some photographers are a lot more helpful than others and more encouraging and want to help the new upcoming photographers. Then I also realized that there's a lot of resources, not just people, that I can use. Just walking outside, you have a lot of resources. Like, if the sun's out, you've got one big, huge resource. If the clouds look a certain way, you've got a resource. And I learned that from a bunch of my interviews. And then hearing about the good and the bad about the business is something that changed my outlook on it and made me stop, okay, am I sure I really want to do this? Do I want to take a step back and maybe focus on something different? There's not a big, what's the word?
Fill in a word.
I don't know what to fill it in. Okay, let's see. Not a lot of people will go and pay a lot of money for senior photographs or just portraits, but a lot of people will pay a lot of money for a really good wedding shoot and bridal shoot and engagement shoot. So that's what I learned about that, and that's what kind of steered me more towards the weddings, because of course I want to make the most money that I can and be as successful as I can. And that was a really big eye-opener for me. My first interview was with Swad Bedovic, and he is from Bosnia. He has traveled all over the world taking pictures, and it's not his main job. He's a personal stylist, but he does this as a hobby, and he makes actually really good money from it. He has a lot of photo books that I've seen, and his inspiration is the same inspiration that I have, Ansel Adams. He focuses mainly on landscape photography, but he's also done a couple weddings. And the landscape photography he does is mainly focused on how you can bring out the personality of the earth. That's his, I guess, motto or whatever. And his passion is just to show people that you can go outside and still have a good time, and that it's really pretty out there, and you're missing out when you're just sitting on the couch watching TV. And his dad gave him a camera when he was 7 years old, and that's when he said it all began. And this is my mentor. He was another interview that I had. Jeff Persichiti, he works for and owns Frisco Photography. He's a wedding photographer, and he's also done senior portraits and some family. He started off shooting pictures of salsa to earn money, and from there he got people asking for more pictures of different things, and then he slowly worked his way up to weddings. He's been through the ISM program before. 2 years ago, he was Jessica Hudson. He was her mentor, and she focused mainly on portraits. So he said that he helped her as much as he could, but finding someone like me who's working on weddings was a big thing for him. He got really excited, and he could focus more on that too. And Frisco Photography has been shooting weddings for over 10 years in Dallas. He travels if the couple will pay for his fare, wherever it is. He's traveled to Mexico, and he's traveled to Jamaica for weddings. And they do custom wedding albums, senior portrait sessions, engagement portrait sessions, and bridal, and they also do wedding day coverage. And I have a lot of adult people that I look up to who are photographers and have been very successful in it. They moved here from a bunch of different places, different states, different countries, and they're photographers. And so having a mentor doesn't limit me to only having his help. I'm able to get help from all of these people. And for my research, after I realized I wanted to do wedding photography, I decided to just focus my research on wedding photography. And so I found that wedding photography is definitely the biggest bang for your buck. You can make anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 a year just from shooting weddings, which is a big chunk of money. And then the schooling, you don't technically have to go to school, but it would be smart, because if you want to have your own photography business, you want to have that business background. So I'm planning on going to school and majoring in business, and then if I have the chance, minoring in photography. So I get the best of both worlds in that. And then the importance of wedding photography is just that that's the one thing that they're going to have to look back on. After 20 or 30 years of marriage, they can just pull out their wedding album and look through all the pictures and remember everything that they have. And then there's a lot of different styles of wedding photography, and they're really different. So we have the traditional and classic wedding photography, and that's post-portraits for frames and display. So that's kind of like this. And then photojournalism, that's when you just you tell a story with your pictures, and you follow the couple around, and then when you give them their photo album, you put all those pictures in order from when you got there and took a picture of the very first thing. So you took a picture of the building, or you took a picture of her dress without her in it. Then you go all the way to the end where they're walking out and the car's driving away, so that it tells a complete story. And nothing has to really be posed. Of course, you'll have like the family shots and stuff like that, but it will really just tell a story. And then you have the illustrative, and this is mainly used for engagement photos, but a lot of people like it, I guess now, like it's more useful for weddings, outdoor weddings it's really useful for. And it has a little bit of both. It has photojournalistic with classical photography mixed. And it just, the background is kind of the main thing, and then it goes straight to the dress. And then portraiture is a lot like traditional. When you see it, you'll probably think it is traditional, but it has a more modern look to it. It's not looking like it's straight out of an older bridal magazine. High fashion is if you have a couple that's living in a really popular, populated city, they're probably going to want something that shows that, okay, we're from this city, we're city people. Or if they're really rich, they'll probably want something like this too. So you dramatize the subject as well as her beautiful dress by the objects around her. And so, like this one, her dress is really dramatized, but so is that building. Those are the two main things that you're looking at. And at this one, he's kind of not really dramatized, but she is, because she's wearing a white dress and it's dark outside. This building is, and then the green water is. This one was actually taken in Dallas at one of the skyline buildings there. Natural light is a really, really hard photography style to shoot in because you're chasing the sunlight. If it gets dark outside, typically with cameras, the picture tends to start to get shaky when it gets dark, unless you use flash. But if you use flash, then everyone's face is really, really, really white, and not everyone likes that. So this one is really good because you're pointing the camera to the sun, and it's just getting basically the silhouette of them. And that's what a lot of couples like for their main picture. And so this was the first wedding that this was the second wedding that I went to. The first one that I took pictures at, though. The first wedding that I did go to, I didn't take pictures at. It was in Pilot Point, and it didn't seem as organized as this one did. It wasn't as thought out as this one was, and there weren't as many people as this one had. This one, they had the bridesmaids, they had the groomsmen, they had the cake, they had dancing, they had the bridal room, they had the mother of the bride, they had everything. And this one was taken at Adriatica over in McKinney. And that was the first time I'd ever been there, and that place is amazing and it's really pretty. And the things that I learned at this wedding is how to shoot from inside and then switch really quick to outside, because when you go from shooting a wedding, you're taking rapid shots, and it's good to have 2 photographers there because you'll get every movement. But then when the wedding's over, they're walking outside and you've got to beat them outside so that you can get the shot of them outside, walking out of the church doors and all of that kind of stuff. So with that I learned the different lighting techniques, and that was a challenge for me whenever I first started taking pictures at this wedding. I was like, okay, it's darker in here, but it's lighter in here, and I need to figure out how to fix it. But my mentor definitely helped me with that. And then you have to be able to stay calm and in control when you're working at a wedding, because everyone else is going to be stressed out and crazy, especially if they're part of the family, the bridal family or the groom's family, because they want everything to move smoothly. And so you just have to stay calm, but you also have to be in charge. If you want a picture done and if they want a picture done but no one's cooperating, you just got to be like, okay, look, if you want this picture done, you got to get over here right now, we'll get this picture done, or it's not going to happen. So you have to stay calm but in control. And a lot of people will ask your opinion on, oh, what if we take a picture over here by this fire hydrant? Is that going to be pretty? And you give your opinion like, not really, but you're still nice about it. And I was able to take pictures that they actually bought, and I was really excited about that because it was kind of like my first big thing, I guess. But this wedding, compared to the first wedding that I went to, was definitely a much bigger production. And I learned a lot of things from this wedding that I wasn't able to learn from the other one. Okay, and these are some family photos and just regular portraits that I took. I have a friend whose mom goes to the gym with her, and they needed pictures taken for their mom for Christmas. So I took them to Prairie Creek Park in Richardson, and the lighting was great. It was a really pretty day, and compared these pictures compared to the original ones after going through Lightroom, look a lot better. But they actually turned out to be really good pictures, and I was happy with them, and so were they. But they were a really fun group to work with, and that was like the first time I was on my own taking pictures of other people only were paying me, so that was really great. And these are some senior pictures that I did. She had a vision of like an umbrella in the rain, but then it stopped raining, so we couldn't do that, and so we just kind of improvised and went over by Babes and took pictures over there. So she wants to go to Prairie Creek Park and take some over there, so we're going to try and do that sometime. Okay, so I have 2 products, not only one. My first product is my lookbook. So this is pretty much a photographer's resume. When you go and you have an interview at a photography studio, they're not interested in your schooling, they're not interested in your GPA from high school. They're more interested in, okay, let me see your work and see if you can actually take pictures, or if you're like awful and you can't really do it, you just think you can with an iPhone. So I made a lookbook and I ordered it, so it should be here in like the next 2 weeks. And it just showcases all of the work that I have. It's not full wedding photography. It has a little bit of everything. It has animals, it has landscape, it's got people, it has weddings, it has candidates. It just has a lot of everything. And then my next product is my website. And this took a lot of preparation and It was very stressful for me. I was freaking out that I wouldn't get it done in time and that I wasn't going to be able to get it done the right way. And it was very stressful. But the very first thing you have to do is come up with a URL that no one else has taken. And so finding an available URL is very difficult, especially with the name that I wanted for my business. Halo Photography is what I really wanted the website to be, halophotography.com. But that one was already taken. So I got haloweddings.com and I put a back order on halophotography.com, so when the person who owns halophotography.com doesn't pay for their subscription, it will automatically go to me. So if they don't pay for it in their year mark, they miss it by like a day, it'll go to me. So that's kind of good that I put a back order on it. It makes me excited. Hopefully they don't pay for it. And then purchasing it, they can get really expensive, but GoDaddy was having a sale whenever I bought it, so it was only like $12, which is really good. Then you have to find a host. Finding a host that's inexpensive is hard to do. I use Zenfolio because it's a photography website and it's a photography hosting site. I can upload pictures, I can upload an about me, I can upload multiple galleries, and so that's what I did with that. And then designing the website is what takes the longest. You have to click through each tab, you have to click through the theme you want, you have to add the pictures, you have to add the about me and then edit the about me multiple times. And then you have to find a picture that you like of yourself to put on the about me, which is probably the hardest thing to do. And then you have to connect your URL to the Zenfolio site. So I'm going to go to my website now. Okay, so this is my website. Halo Photography is my name. And right here is the slideshow, and I just have a bunch of pictures that I've taken that I'm proud of and that I think were good on the website. And so it will just go through those. And then down here I have the quote that I like to go by: life is like photography, we develop from our negatives. And then I have a little bit about me. So if you go to the About post, it'll have a picture of me, and then it will have who I am, why I like photography, when I started liking photography, stuff like that. Then I have a blog one that'll take you to my blog. There you go. And this is the blog that I used for ISM, so it just connected all of my posts from that. And it's on Google Blogs, so you go there. And it takes you to, I made it to where when you click on my blog, it takes you to a new tab, so that in order for you to read my blog, you have to go to the new tab, and then once you close out of my blog, you'll still have to go back to my website. So basically, you'll always have to go back to my website no matter what. And then to contact me if you want pictures or whatever, you put your name, your email, your phone number if you want, a subject, and then what you want done, or why you're contacting me. You send the message, it will send it to my email. And then I have galleries that aren't shown up yet, but they will be once I'm finished uploading pictures. So that's just what's on here now, is these pictures. I have New York, I have the family that I took pictures of, I have more senior pictures, I have family pictures, band pictures, animals, landscape pictures, all kinds of stuff. So I have that. And then next It was hard to come up with a logo and an icon. I originally had just my icon, and I was like, okay, I'll just use that as my logo. But after talking to my mentor, he said that I need an actual logo, like, that has my name. Because I'm not going to be going by Halo Weddings. Like, my business name isn't going to be Halo Weddings, it's Halo Photography. So that's when I came up with this. And me and him kind of worked on it together. He came up with how it will lay